If you've always wanted to make jewellery but you didn't know where to start, then this is a great course. This is the wire Scribble ring. It's only got the one solder joint, and if you can bend wire, you can make this. Check it out. I'm starting with 1.4mm round sterling silver wire. That's 17 gauge, and this is 30 centimeters long. You'll see how adaptable this design can be, so you can start with a longer piece or a shorter piece. If you're ordering your silver, make sure that you order it dead soft, or if you're making it yourself, then make sure it's annealed at this stage. So what we're going to do first of all is make the ring, and to do that we're going to wrap it around the ring mandrel 3 times. Now make sure that you make it a good few sizes smaller than the intended finger size. That way we can size it up later on once we're close to finishing it. So if you've made it too big at that stage, then it's really difficult to size it down. So just wrap the wire around, try and keep it even, and keep it also tight so there's no big gaps. So take it around one more time. And then bring up this side here so that I get the 2 ends pretty even. So that's where we're at. You can see I've got my 3 triple band at the back of the ring, and at this stage you can just check the size, and whatever finger size you're working on, just get it slightly under that size, and later on, like I said, we can get it exactly the right size. So I'll leave it at that for now, and what I'm going to do now is solder it. So before I solder it, I need to just flatten the ends. So I now need to bring the ends together, and I'm going to use my round nose pliers, so I'll just bend them around the round part here. Although you can use a pair of round nose pliers if you haven't got half round pliers. So I'll just grab the end like so, and then I'll just pull the wire around and get a nice soft bend on one side, and then do the same on the other side. Now my ends aren't quite even, so what I'm going to have to do is more of a bend on this one here. Now when you're setting it up, you'll find it's very difficult to keep it perfectly lined up during the soldering operation, but the main thing is to get it as close as possible, like so, and eliminate any step from the top of the profile, the top of the wire there. So you could see there that there's a little bit of a step, and it's going to be very hard to correct that during the solder operation. So now I've got rid of that, all I have to do is worry about lining it up at the sides, and that's easy enough to do when you lay it again onto your solder mat. So we can just push it with our tweezers, solder tweezers. So for the flux, I've got here a borax cone and dish. Now the cone should look more like that, but this is pretty worn out. If you haven't got a borax cone and dish, it doesn't matter. You can use, you'll see that there's lots of different types of flux pastes that you can get that's ready mixed, ready to go. And this is Tenacity 4A flux paste. But this is more of a traditional way of fluxing your work. So get the flux around and on the joint, and prepare yourself a little piece of solder. So you'll only need medium solder for this because we've only got the one solder joint to do. So a little cutting of solder, make sure that that's also fluxed and placed on the joint. So now we're ready to solder, and normally I'd just solder it with my little Smith's torch, which is what most jewellers would use, but I can't assume everyone's got one of those, so I'm just going to use a these you can get from a hardware store. It's just a butane torch, and let's see how we get on with that. There's not as much heat coming from this as the little Smith's torch, but should do the job. So the hottest part of the flame is right at the bright blue point there. So I'm just going to move the solder as it starts to heat up and make sure that I direct the heat equally on both sides of the wire, otherwise the solder will just run on one side and not the other. So you can see the solder starting to melt now. I wasn't getting on too well working off my usual solder mat, which is a ceramic solder mat, so there's a lot of heat that bounces back off this charcoal block, so this should work better for me. Okay, it's taken a while, but the solder's running in the joint now, and thank goodness it's the only solder joint, because this does take a lot longer than using the usual torch. So now just get rid of the excess solder and give the joint a bit of a clean up with a sanding stick. So now I'm back on the mandrel, and this is the fun part where you can be really creative. There's no real rules with this. I've just found with the technique that worked for me, I bent the wire across the shank this way and this one that way to start things off, and then things tend to happen from there on. I'm using round nose pliers for this, and so as I said, I'll just bring one end of the wire over and then bend this side over. Do what you can with your fingers first, so that kind of sets the ends of the design. So this area from this point to this point will be the ring head. So let's see what we can make of it. So I'll just bring the wire down and give it a twist in the middle. I'll take it right over. Don't try and copy exactly what I'm doing. You'll really struggle to get it exactly the same. And this might not work out as good as what you could do anyway. Now you might find that it's not really looking like it's going to get anywhere, but keep going, because you can make corrections along the way. But the main thing is try and keep it even as well. So I'm going to pull the wire over one way and then bring it around the other way, and I've kind of got a good general shape happening now, as you can see. This here where it's lifted, we can tighten that shortly. I'll just press that down there, and now I can give this part here a little twist. Now I've got to be careful, because this is where the solder joint is, so I don't want to stress that joint too much, otherwise it will ping open and I'll have to do a repair job on it. So to get these nice curves and twists, you twist the pliers around. So again, getting some practice beforehand will be beneficial. So I quite like how it's starting to look now, although this is very open, and because it's so open it's not holding together too well. So if you wear that as a ring now, that's going to catch on everything and open out, and you're going to lose the wire design in no time. So we need to tighten everything up by doing little twists. So you'll see how it changes the general shape as well. So I'm just using the ends of the pliers and then twisting around. We'll bring that loop right around like so, and you can see how that's pulled that around. So let's do a correction there. Now I'm twisting, I'll go clockwise on this one, so I'll twist it this way. So I've got to hold this wire away from the shank here because it's going to pull right around otherwise. So here we go, let's see what happens here. I'll just bring it a bit closer to the ring head, about there, and then get a nice tight twist. And I'll do much the same here and close up this open area. I think I'll just start it on this side here. Now that looks quite disastrous here, how that's pulled away, but I think we can get something happening there as well. Okay, quite like that. I'm going to just close up this area here. A little bit of a test of that and see if we can improve it. It's not too bad, but this here I don't think looks quite right, so let's try and bring this loop over and just grab it and twist it over. Which I think was a mistake, but sometimes mistakes work out pretty good. Let's see if I can bring that one over. And as I said before, if you try and follow exactly what I am doing, say, well, good luck to you, but it will be darn impossible. But I'm going to show you a collection of other rings that I've made in brass, and you can see how different they are. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to know when to stop. It's very easy to overdo it, but I quite like that now. I think it's starting to work, and at this stage I'd say it's time to work on getting the right finger size. So my finger size started down at this point here, so if I just tap it up to size M there, just to show you how you can just take it up to the required size. So just with either a rawhide mallet, or in this case this is a nylon mallet, and just give the head of the ring a little bit of a tap down, just flatten it a little bit, although I quite like the rounded shape at the top. And I just want to test to see how much it's holding together and how practical that will be as a ring. I think that works quite well. So just see what size I'm at. Yeah, I'm almost at size M, so what you can do is just push it up the mandrel with a sideways tap at the bottom of the shank there, and get to the size you want. So now I'll clean that up and then we'll take a look. You know, there'll be a few scratches and dents from the pliers, so just try and remove those with a sanding stick. I've just taken it out of the tumbler, and that's how it's looking. I reckon that looks pretty cool for a simple ring. And if you want to just check out the practice rings that I made, just to get used to the concept, some were made with longer pieces of wire, and as you can see, I've twisted them in different ways. So get your practice in. The main thing is have fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a like and subscribe. And if you want to see how to make other types of scribble rings like this one, check them out on the website.